Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation on communication in families. So a little bit about myself. My name is Carrie Kimsey, and I live in Grand Run, Oregon. This is my family. This is my life partner, Sean, my older son, Ben, and my younger son, Reed. Moving on to my family of origin, this is my dad, my mom, my sister, my brother, my mom's parents, and my dad's dad. So this is just a little glimpse into my family. I have a very large family. I have a lot of cousins, a lot of aunties and uncles, nieces and nephews. And I also have some very close friends that I consider family as well. So, of course, communication plays a huge role in all of these relationships. So it's great to be able to present on a topic that's really important to me, one that I value, and to also just talk to you all a little bit about how communication works within the family unit. So it's important to understand some of these definitions that we use today when describing families structurally. You heard me use a couple of these terms while describing my family. And so before I move forward kind of defining these definitions, I wanted to mention that definitions and makeups of families are changing daily within our society. And so these are just some more common definitions of family. And so I'm not obviously going to be listing all of the definitions that I think we use today. So family of origin is the first one up there, and that refers to relatives connected by blood or other traditional legal bonds such as like marriage or adoption. Family of orientation refers to people who share the same household, and this really represents the family that we kind of make up and what we choose. So you heard me talk about some really close friends of mine that I consider family. They would fall under my family of orientation. There are several subdivisions of families of orientation, and so that's what I'm going to talk about next. So the nuclear family, which is something I'm sure you've all heard, that's a household with two heterosexual married parents with one or more children. A binuclear family is a nuclear family that has been split up by divorce into two separate households. So one household is headed by dad, one household is headed by mom, and then the children share the households. A single parent family, that includes a mother or father who may or may not have been previously married with a child. A step family includes a heterosexual couple that lives together with families from previous relationships. I like to refer to this as blended family. I just think that that's a more trauma-informed way of describing families like this. This is a very common thing within my community. We have a lot of blended families. And so that's just kind of what I like to refer to them as. A cohabitating family includes a heterosexual couple who lives together in a committed relationship, but maybe they aren't married. And last, but certainly not least, a gay or lesbian family, which includes a couple of the same gender who live together in a committed relationship. Okay, so those were definitions that we use to define a family structurally. I'm moving on to defining families functionally. So unlike structural definitions of family, functional definitions focus on tasks or interactions within the family unit. So there's two definitions up there. Task orientation recognizes that behaviors like emotional and financial support are more important interpersonal indicators of family-like connection than biology. So for example, in some cases, custody of children have been awarded a person not biologically related to that child over a living blood relative because that person has acted more like a family member to that child. Transactional definitions of family focus on communication and subjective feelings of connection. So this really focuses more on the creation of the sense of home, identity, and loyalty. So it's going away from just providing a roof over the child's head or food in the fridge. It's really asking us, are you creating that sense of home? Are you creating that sense of belongingness within the family? So obviously there is not one all-encompassing definition of family, which is probably for its best because it's always changing. But it's important to remember that family is just a combination of structural, functional, and communicative elements. And of course, there's going to be multiple definitions because family is complex. Okay, so we're going to talk about family interaction rituals. And really, what this is, these are things, these are interactions that create, maintain, and change communication climates within our family. So we're looking at three different categories. These categories form an environment where families engage in a variety of different shared beliefs, attitudes, and values. So the three main types of relationship rituals are pattern family interactions, family traditions, and family celebrations. Pattern family interactions occur frequently, so that's things like mealtime and bedtime, having guests over, different activities. Family traditions occur less frequently. Examples are birthdays, family reunions, and family vacations. And family celebrations are more formal and are more culturally specific. So examples are things like weddings, graduations, coming of age ceremonies. In my culture, we also have naming ceremonies. And so these are things that, these are routines and rituals that help us create climate, communication climates within our families. So moving on to conversation and conformity orientation. So this is looking a little bit deeper into our communication within our families. So this is the amount of depth our conversations between family members are. So we're going to be kind of examining these two key factors that influence family communication: conversation orientation and conformity orientation. So members within a high conversation orientation communicate with each other freely and frequently about activities, thoughts, and feelings. Parents in high conversation orientation families believe that communicating with their children openly and frequently lead to more rewarding family life, and help to educate and socialize children, preparing them for interactions outside of the family. Members of a family with low conversation orientation do not interact with each other as often. Conversations are more restricted and thoughts are more considered private. A family with a high conformity orientation fosters a climate of uniformity, and parents decide guidelines for what to conform to. So children are really expected to be obedient, and conflict is often avoided to protect family harmony. Families with a low conformity orientation encourages diversity of beliefs, attitudes, values, behaviors, and assertion of individuality. So where does your family fall? Are you a consensual family, which is high in both conversation and conformity orientations and encourage open communication, but also want to maintain that hierarchy within the family that puts parents above children? Are you a pluralistic family, which is high in conversation orientation and low in conformity, but is open to discussion and is encouraged for all family members and parents to not strive to control their children's or other behaviors or decisions? Instead, this really is a values the life lesson that a family member can learn by spending time with non-family members or engaging in self-exploration. A protective family is low in conversation orientation and high in conformity, expects children to be obedient to parents, and does not value open communication. And a laissez-faire family is low in conversation and conformity orientation, has infrequent and or short interactions, and does not discuss many topics. Remember that pluralistic families also have a low conformity orientation, which means they encourage children to make their own decisions in order to promote personal exploration. Whereas laissez-faire families are different in that parents don't have an investment in their children's decision making. So that was so much information. So I'm going to recap some of the main points so that we can walk away feeling like we know a little bit more about communication within families. So the first thing that we really covered was that there are many ways to define a family. Structural definitions focus on a form of families and have a narrow criteria for the membership. Task orientation definitions focus on behaviors, and transactional definitions focus on the creation of subjective feelings of home, identity, and loyalty. Family rituals include pattern interactions, family traditions, and family celebrations. And conversations and conformity orientations play a role in the creation of family climates. So I really hope that this was helpful in understanding how we can communicate within our families. What are things that create communication climates, and what are things that influence us within our families and how we communicate with our family members. So thank you all for listening, and I hope that this was helpful.